All right. Okay, welcome to our session number 12. Today we are going to talk about relational database services, which is the very important service which offering by AWS. So far we have covered IAM. It is also a very important concept. And before that we discussed about cloud computing and what is the difference between AWS, Azure and Google Cloud. And followed by we discussed several other concepts like CloudWatch and how to set the alarm, etc. And after that, if you remember, we have created buckets in S3. Then we talk about EC2. So as part of that, the next big concept it is RDS. It is not a very complex topic like EC2 and other things, but I will try to provide as much as simplified concept to you like EC2 so that you are able to understand. RDS is once again, it's a very important concept, and you are going to get significant amount of questions for your exam perspective as well as your job interview perspective. So please listen uh, um, with active listening is important so that you need not to go through again and again. Right. So moving to first slide. This is our agenda today. We are going to discuss about AWS Relational Database Service RDS on introduction. So you are going to talk about what is RDS and why we have to use on RDS. Next, we are going to talk about relational database engines. How many engines we have in AWS, or how many engines are supported by AWS, and what is the purpose on each engine, and which situation we can go for and what engine that we are going to discuss. Next, when we are talking about RDS, RDS means it's a combination of or collection of components. We are going to talk about what are those components and how it is going to helpful in RDS. We are going to discuss in detail. When we are talking about components and in terms of database related stuff, then we have to talk about AWS RDS AWS advantages also. So we are going to talk about what are the main advantages we have and why we have to go for RDS with these advantages. And we are going to talk about the pricing model, uh, how how much we have to spend approximately every month or whenever you have transactions. And do you have any free tier offering? Stay tuned. We are going to discuss about that also. And finally, we are going to talk about AWS RDS and with the hands-on so that we are able to understand what we learned today. We are able to see the practical approach also at the end. Right. Going to the next slide. Um, Amazon Relational Database Service. Simply, we can call this a Amazon RDS or AWS RDS. Both are same. It's one of the web service which provide by AWS. Like we already saw several web services. For example, S3 and we saw EC2. Both are different web services, right? So like that, RDS also one of the web services which are provided by AWS. And each and every web services is different and with different functionalities and features it has within AWS. Okay, as part of this RDS perspective, it is going to manage your database in the AWS. Okay, like how EC2 is managing your computing, how S3 is managing your storage. Similarly, RDS is going to manage your database in cloud. Okay, uh, why we have to use RDS means it easier to set up, operate, and scale a relational database in the AWS cloud. That means it is not a very high-fi infrastructure you needed before you are creating a database, or you need to have a licensed database. You need to create your tables. Not like that. It is easy to set up and easy to operate once you create, and you can scale your relational database. That means you have fixed yeah, database and you are creating tables, structures and everything. But once your business is evolving, then you need not change anything in the database because like how easy to use auto scaling. That similarly, database also will be scale based on your needs. So that is the biggest advantage over other on-premises database. So that's the main advantage we are using RDS over here. Okay, and it provides a cost-efficient and reusable capacity while automating time-consuming administration tasks such as hardware provisioning, database setup, patching, and backups. Everything will be taken care by AWS. If you are managing your on-premises database, then you have to buy the license. For example, if you are going for the SQL Server 2019, if you are going for Express version for your home, then that's a different story. But if you are going for your corporate or enterprise wide, then every license will be accountable and costing. So you have to pay a license fee, and you have to plan the reusable capacity, um, uh, and it is time consuming because you have to create an image and you have to upload that image or deploy that image to all other organization wide laptops. And you know that hardware provisioning, you have to plan your hardware well ahead of time, and you have to set up the database backup, for example, every day night, um, uh, for example 12 o'clock in the midnight, or weekly once, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi yearly, or semi annually and annually. All the backup you have to plan well ahead, and you have to set up the batch process accordingly. And if any software update, you have to shut down the servers, and you have to apply the pages and shut down the servers. And these are the tasks typically we will do when you are operating on premises databases, but everything is taken care by AWS here, so you need not worry about the maintenance, etc. And cost also not much. Just so whatever you are going to use, you are going to pay only those. So that's the reason it's a cost efficient. And you can just to focus on your application, and RDS will taken care of the database and other things. It is a fast performance. That means it is not latency based thing. It is immediately available whenever you are requesting, and it is highly availability. Uh, uh, Not much latency you are able to see. It is always available, and it's a more secure because all the data is being encrypted in AWS, and compatibility, whatever you need, you can go with that respective engines rather than just to stick with one particular engine. Okay. Amazon RDS is available on several database instance types. What are the instance type, and how we are going to use? We are going to see in next 2 to 3 slides. And it is optimized for memory, performance, or input output, and it's going to be provide 6 familiar database engines to choose from. Typically, it's 6 engines, but most of them may not familiar with all 6 engines. But at least 2 to 3 engines well, so we can use those familiar database engines for our practice and other things. Okay, you have to remember 2 important things. One is RDS is not a database. First of all, okay, RDS is a service that manages database. Then what we are going to use the database? Okay, you are going to use the database engines to store and retrieve your records, but RDS is not a database. How we are going to manage your database? That is taken care by RDS. So hope this first slide is giving some information to you about RDS. I think if you have any questions, we will take at the end. Okay. So moving to next slide. I have given you a simple picture to you for your easy understanding. One is in the left hand side, typically how the on-premises database management is working, and in the right hand side we are able to see how Amazon RDS working. So this simple is mentioning about RDS, so that's the reason for symbolic I have mentioned here. That's simple. Okay, so consider this blue or blue colored is on premises database, and here right side It's a yellow one is called as a Amazon RDS database. Okay, see here, first users are same, but the next layer is different. Okay, so if it is an on-premises database, we have to see the fault detection. If anything is there, if anything is going wrong, if any errors, then you have to see the logs, and based on the logs, you have to come up with some solution based on your analysis. Then you have to correct that one. For that, at least you need to sometimes you have to shut down your server or restart your server. So whenever you are restarting or shutdowning your server, that time your database may not be available. Okay, so it is a little painful work when you are managing on-premises database. And the same thing, updating software. These days, actually, Microsoft, for example, if you are going for SQL Server uh, database, if you are using 2016, or may not, I'm not sure anybody is using 2019, but I'm using 2019 SQL Server Express 2019. Even 2019, they're releasing the patches periodically. That means whenever you are updating the patches, most of the time, 98% of time, you have to uh, take the system offline, uh, and you have to update the pages, updating your software. Then you have to restart. Um, then only it will operate as usual. If you are not doing that one, then there will be some vulnerabilities. It is easily can be hacked your system. These days it is very common, and to avoid such things, we have to update the software whenever Microsoft is releasing. For example, I'm talking about SQL Server. Okay, like that, even Oracle also doing same thing. At least Oracle is a little better because they are releasing the patches on every 3 months, quarterly patches. But regardless of anything, at least you have to restart your servers, database servers, 3 months once or monthly once kind of thing. So it is little bit. That means a latency, or I would say it is unavailable of your database server. And backup also, as I said in the previous screen, you have to plan well. And if anything is going wrong, you have to, that means again, restore your backup. It is a tedious job. Okay, so all these, actually there are several factors, but for your understanding, just I have mentioned only 3 factors over here. These are the things you have to do manually. But when you are going with Amazon RDS, okay, it will be taken care, all these 3 things taken care by Amazon RDS. Okay, for example, how they are updating software, that we are going to discuss in the later slide. But for your information at this moment, uh, okay, so we are going to discuss about regions, availability zones. Okay, in next 2 to 3 slides, we already discussed in this our first and second class, but still for your remembrance, I have added because the RDS is related to regions and availability zones. Okay, now, uh, okay, it is a multi-zone RDS. That means your database will be replicated in the multiple zones. For example, if you are updating a software in one region, then what will happen? The next region will be enabled for you to work on for your work, and meanwhile that one region is taken the offline and updating the pages and softwares, whatever it is. And once that region will be available, then you will be pointed to that region, and whatever you are currently working on the other region, it will be taken offline for their update. So like that, it is a rotational basis. You will get continuous availability on your database, so that you need not worry about any downtime over there. Okay, so we will discuss more in upcoming slides, but at least for your information, I have explained that one. So in that case, if everything will be taken care by RDS, so you will not face any other problem. So always you will be occupied. I think this picture you are able to understand better, but here not like that. Whenever one server is available, some people can work, and other people have to wait. So like that. So I think this picture is will give more clarity on what is it, how or why we are going to use Amazon RDS than the on-premises database. Okay, so moving to the next slide, um, what is the benefit of this RDS? Okay, so there are 6 benefits, I would say, at least for our knowledge purpose and exam point of view and interview point of view. One is EC2 administrator. That means Amazon RDS make it easy to go from project conception to deployment. You need not plan your hardware well ahead. For example, uh, database server itself development, separate server testing for separate server, and production database separate server. No need to worry about it. You just to plan it out, and you can go um, on the second from your project conception to deployment. You can very well manage all the production related deployment in AWS RDS. As I said, no need for infrastructure provisioning and no need for installing and maintaining database software. For example, your application has SQL Server or MySQL. Okay, you need not install MySQL in all these servers. Okay, just you are picking what engine you want, that we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides, and from there you can just go there and create RDS, what database you want to create, and based on that you can move forward. You need not to maintaining your database software anywhere, because RDS will take in care. So it is very easy to administer, so that you can just to focus your application, not database side. Okay. Next, highly scalable. That means scale your database compute and storage resource with only few mouse click and API calls, often with no downtime. That is very important. Whenever the demand is increasing, the database will be scaled automatically. You can set that one also in the settings. And many Amazon RDS engine types allow you to launch one or more read replicas to offload read traffic from your primary database instance. It is a very important concept, because um, it is a you need not some users no need to get the right privileges. Only read is sufficient. So such users they hit the database server, but not for that hard hitting kind of writing kind of thing. So it is just a read replica, so that it will be available for offload, because they are not going to update anything. So it will be available offline. Offload means the capacity, it will be always available. So you need not um, worry about the much traffic when we are hitting the database. And available and durable perspective, always it is available, because it is runs highly reliable infrastructure used by other Amazon Web Services. For example, EC2 and S3. For example, in S3, when we are creating your buckets, it's replicated to other availability zones and other regions, right? So similarly, this one is also available in the similar structure, so it is always available. And durable perspective, yes, when you provision a the availability zone DB instance, Amazon RDS synchronously replicate the data to a standby instance in a different availability zone. So that means um, uh, you need not worry if it is going for a software patching or anything. So that's what we mean here. You may have some questions we'll take at the end. The next slide, continuing to the RDS benefits, we have 3 more benefits, which we are going to see in the next slide. So continuing here, it is a fast and secure and inexpensive. So these are the 3 important benefits also. Actually, fast in terms of AWS RDS perspective, it supports the most demanding database applications. Mostly, many organizations they are using SQL Server or Oracle or MySQL kind of thing. So it will cover almost 90% of companies' database. Okay, so um, it is a on demanding database application. It will support in the RDS. So even you can choose your non-familiar database. If you are using, then you can convert them into there are 6 database engines. We are going to see any one of them, or you can at least choose Amazon Aurora, which is the fast database, which we are going to see in the next slide. Okay, so the another important aspect is you can choose between 2 SSD backed storage options. You already know that SSD we discussed in the EC2 sections. Two why we are going to use for 2. One is for optimized for high performance, and other one is for cost effective general purpose use. Okay, if you are using two uh, that means high performance, then it is actually, first of all, it's no needed to use two high performance SSD storage, because it's cost effective, and that means it is too much of cost, and you no need a very high performance database, because even if you are choosing one, that is enough for high performance, and another one is for cost effective purpose. Okay, and it is very secure because uh, Amazon RDS make it easy to control network access to your database. Nobody can hack, at least till now nobody told any stories about hacking and other things, so it is well secured. And it is very important that RDS lets you run your database instance in Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, that is called as Amazon VPC. I know most of the guys may not sure what is a VPC, but we are going to cover in upcoming sessions so that you know what is VPC and how we can connect the database over there. And when enables you to isolate your database instance and to connect to your existing infrastructure through understand encrypted IPsec VPN. Okay, what is that meaning? You already have a on-premises database, and some of the database you want to run from AWS, and some of them you want to run from your on-premises in that hybrid cloud. So that time you can still connect your existing IT infrastructure through industry-standard encrypted IPsec VPN, so that it is well secured when it is transmitting data between your on-premises and AWS. So the bottom line, it is more secure and more fast, and also it is very inexpensive. That means you pay very low rates and only for the resources you actually consume. No need to pay like license fees, this much kind of thing. And in addition, you benefit from the option of on-demand pricing with no upfront or long-term commitments. You can disconnect anytime, no 12 months or 24 months kind of commitment. And it is available lower hourly rates via um, reserved instance pricing kind of thing. Okay, for example, you want to know um, how you can significantly save your cost. Okay, that time you can go for the reserved instance, so that specific instance will be reserved for you, and you can pay only for that reserved instances, so that you can save the cost over there also. So these are the 6 benefits with RDS, and you may have some questions we will talk at the end. Okay, so relational database engines. This slide and next slide we are going to talk about database engines. Okay, there are 6 engines, as I said in the previous slide. One is Amazon Aurora, which offered by Amazon. Okay, Amazon Aurora is the powerful database engine. That's what Amazon is claiming. And in terms of speed, yes, Amazon Aurora is better than um, other engines as per my experience at this moment. It is easy to create the database. Um, it is you need not spend much configuration on this Amazon Aurora. So now it is getting more familiar, Amazon Aurora. So you can also try and see how it is works for you. Hold on. Okay, so it is a relational database engine. Already you know that. That also made by Amazon, that we already talk about that, which combines the speed and reliability of high-end commercial database with the simplicity and cost effectiveness of open source database. There are 3 points within this simple statement. One is, hold on. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so it's a open and a database, so that anybody can use for that commercial purpose, and it's a cost effective compared with other database engines. And Amazon claims that Aurora is a 5x faster than RDS uh, MySQL. That means they are comparing only with the MySQL. They didn't compare with Oracle or SQL Server or anything. But overall, they are saying that they are very much faster than other database engines. Okay, so I would say suggest based on my experience, you can go for Amazon Aurora if you are running yeah, small to medium small to medium sized business. But if you are going for your large enterprise, I would suggest to go for SQL Server Oracle because it's a proven and it is more secure and faster in AWS RDS. Okay. So MySQL, most of the guys are familiar with MySQL. It is an open source database management system which uses structured query language, you know already, SQL, to access the data stored in its system. So that also it's a very simplified database, I would say. And PostgreSQL, and it's another open source database management system which uses again SQL to access the data. I didn't see much difference between these two, but some people prefer PostgreSQL because querying is a little simple than MySQL. So that's the reason some people will go there. But if you have already you have experience in MySQL, you can go with that MySQL, or you can try PostgreSQL. But the familiarity is with Microsoft SQL Server. Most of the enterprise or corporate, they are using Microsoft SQL Server. You already know that it's a relational database management system, RDBMS, which was developed by Microsoft in 2005 for the enterprise environment. But in SQL Server 2005 onwards, you have several versions actually, 2005, 7, and 9, 13, 16, 19 kind of thing. So, but even if you are choosing 2016, there are 4 types of versions available. One is enterprise and standard, professional, express kind of thing. So what are the options will be useful for you? What are the versions will be useful for you and your needs for your business? Then you can choose accordingly. So these are the 4 engines, and we have 2 more engines we are going to discuss in the next slide. One is the Oracle. You already know that it is a ORDBMS, which is developed by Oracle Inc. So whatever the functionalities you are able to perform in SQL Server, similarly you can perform over here also. And Oracle itself already it's very secured. You already know that. But when you are going with the AWS RDS, it is more secured. So you need not worry about any security related aspects over here. And MariaDB, it's a very least people they are using MariaDB, but still this type of engine offered by Amazon RDS. Okay. So MariaDB is a community developed fork of MySQL DBMS team, and the reason for its fork was the concern over the acquisition of Oracle over MS SQL. So there was some conflict. So that's the reason it was developed and done by MySQL or DBMS team. Okay, so exam point of view, who has developed nothing, you will not get such questions. So you need not worry about that. Just you have to know MariaDB is also one of the database engine which offering by AWS. That's what, nothing else. Okay, but you have to understand what is the fork means. That means fork means it's copying the source code of the original application and starting development over the new application. That's all. So nothing much on that one. The interesting part is DB engines that RDS support are existing relational database. Therefore, you don't have to change code for your application or learn new querying language. Okay, whatever you already using your existing application, that's the same thing. You can go with that. Right. So these are the 6 engines which we talk about that, and I think you may have already have some familiarity on these engines, but in the hands-on, we will discuss about more on this one. Okay. Next one, these are the very important AWS components, DB instances, how and how many instances we are going to use on the DB perspective that we are going to discuss in the upcoming slide. And as I said, the regions and availability zones are very important in the RDS perspective. So you are able to understand how the availability zones and regions are available during the patching and other things. And there are several security groups which we need to talk, and it's very important concept also. There are two simple concepts. Those are the components with AWS. That is, one is the parameter group and another one is option group. Both are two simple concepts. So we will see what is the DB instance in the next slide. Uh, uh, as I said, DB instance is very important because it's a building blocks of RDS. Actually, it is an isolated database environment in the cloud, okay, which can contain multiple user-created database, and it can be accessed using the same tools and application that one uses with the standalone database instance. Similar, simple, and same thing. Just you have to remember, it's an isolated database environment in the cloud. That's all. No need to memorize any other things. And yeah, DB instance can be created using AWS management console, which we are doing on regular basis, or you can use one more option with RDS API or command line interface. These are the common things, but here Amazon RDA API is a little different. And the computation and memory capacity of DB instance depends on the DB instance class. You can create DB instances with the various sizes, which is associated with the storage capacity. And we have up to 40 Amazon RDS DB instances. Okay, so 40, how we can say that means, for example, you can have 40 license Oracle licenses, but if you are talking about the combination of 40, for example, if you are going for SQL Server, you can have 10 enterprise version license and 10 um, professional and 10 developer edition and 10 express kind of thing. So the combination will be 40, not more than that. And the deep instances are of the following types. There are three types. One is standard instances, which refers M4 and M3. I think when we are talking about EC2, you are able to understand what is M4 and M3. And the memory optimized and micro instances. These are the three instance types we have. Okay, exam point of view, you will get one questions related with the DB instance type, but interview point of view, they will ask you scenario based when you have to use for memory optimized DB instance type. That time you can tell them that if you want to go for very fast processing, database processing, that time you can go for memory optimized. Okay, so these are the DB instance. So you may have some question. We will talk at the end. This picture will give more clarity on DB instances. That means this is the within the AWS. I think you are able to see my mouse movement. So this is actually AWS cloud. Within that AWS cloud, we have Amazon RDS. Okay, within that we have DB instances, which we talk about that one. Maximum 40 RDS DB instances, which can be made up in different type of DB as below. Okay, and this is the license included model. Maximum 10 Oracle DB instances, maximum 10 MS SQL DB instances, 30 other DB instances. Okay, so you can choose mix and match of DB instances, but the maximum will be 40. It will not be exceeded more than 40. And you can bring your own license model. It is called as a BYOLM. Okay, so you can bring your license model either with Oracle or SQL, whatever you have. So this is actual DB instances you are able to understand now, right? Um, only main difference you have to see is license included model. This one is bring your own license model. So that's the main difference. And other than that, it will be allowed 40 DB instances. Okay. Moving to next slide, regions and availability zones is one of the main factor of RDS AWS components. Okay, uh, because we are managing RDS in availability zones as well as regions, so that it is highly available, and there is no delay in terms of accessing your database. Okay, as you already know that it is AWS resources are housed in highly availability data centers, which are located in different areas in the world. The area is called region. You already know in our first and second session itself, but now we are able to understand clearly. Each region has multiple availability zones. Okay, you already know that it's they are distinct locations which are engineered to be isolated with the failure of other availability zones. That means one availability zone has some failure like earthquake or tornado, whatever it is, then other availability zone still will help you, because your data will be stored, or your database will be stored more than one availability zone, so it's always available. You can deploy your DB instance in multiple available zones. Insert this ensure failure. We already just now talk about that. Yes, for example, sometimes it's a power failure. It will automatically switch over to other availability zone. And the failure instance is called a standby. And the original instance is called the primary instance. That is a very important concept. At least for your knowledge purpose, you have to know there are two types of thing. One is a standby and another one is primary instance. Whatever you are accessing, that is a primary instance. Whatever is a failover instance, that is called a standby. Moving to next slide. Here I will try to describe what we learned in the previous slide. So this one is availability zones. This is actually AWS cloud. Within that, you have availability zones and region. So AWS cloud, how you have to read AWS cloud, then region. Within that region, you have availability zone. Okay, so that will connect with the local zone if you have anything. And the right hand side, you are able to understand more clarity. Each availability, each region has a different availability zone. For example, this one is region 1 and region 2. For example, this one is North America, this one is South America or Australia, whatever it is. So I think you are able to understand this picture, what is the regions and availability zones. For example, if this availability zone, you have database, but due to some failure it is not available, means so it will switch over to other availability zone. Okay, from there you will be connected to um, uh, your that means wherever you are accessing the database. Okay, so like that it will be switch over. So you may have some questions, we'll talk at the end. Next slide, it is about security groups. uh, Security group controls access to a DB instance, because it is very secure. Your database resides in that security group. So it does so by specifying range of IP addresses or the EC2 instances that you want to give access. Um, you can use for custom IP addresses or static IP addresses to access the DB. And the port also, by default, it will be created 3680 kind of thing. You can change that one also. But regardless of anything, there are three types of RDS security groups. One is VPC, Virtual Private Computer Security Group. That means it controls the DB instance that is inside a VPC. Okay, what is VPC and how we can create a DB instance in the VPC? We are going to learn in one of the sessions. Okay, next one is EC2 security group. This one we already know what is EC2, and we had a hands-on. So here it controls access to an EC2 instance and can be used with the DB instances like same VPC. And the DB security group, that also it is separate security group. It controls the DB instance that is not in a VPC. Okay, so these are the three security groups we have to remember, but it's not very difficult to. One is VPC, EC2, and another is DB. DB is what are the DB instance that is not in the VPC. That's why we are using DB security group. So this is about security group. And if you see here, you are accessing the internet through internet gateway and VPC here, and you have your security groups, Amazon RDS-DB instance you have, and you have here EC2 instance with the web application. So this is what you will access. So it will be well secured with the security groups. Okay, you may have some questions we'll talk at the end. And moving to the next slide. We have two more components of RDS. One is a DB parameter group. which contains the engine configuration values that can be applied to one or more DB instance of the same instance type. That means, for example, if you want to query with the employee number in the existing database, we can using that employee number as a parameter. So such parameters will be created in a parameter group. If you don't apply a DB parameter group to your instance, you are assigned to a default parameter group which has a default values. How it will be assigned the default values, and how you can create your own parameter group, that we are going to see in the hands-on. DB options group. Okay, some DB engines offer tools that simplify managing your database. It is actually optional only. If you want, you can use, but it also one of the component. And RDS makes these tools available with the use of the options group. Okay, so I would say these option group are optional, and on need basis you can use them, but there will be no separate charges for these DB option groups. Okay, so these are the components we discussed, and next slide we are going to see advantage of RDS. Okay, you already know that this is the RDS picture, so it has a huge advantages. One is the read replicas. That means whenever if you want to reduce your load, you can go for read replicas, so that users whenever are whosoever needed only for read permission, so they can use the read replica, so that they will not hit actual database, so the performance will be improved over there. And customized performance, we can choose your instances, and when and who wants to access everything, you can set up that one. We are going to see detailed advantages in the upcoming slides, but this is the overview slide, and it will be automated backup. There are two types of backup. One is the snapshot, and another one is a database backup schedule. For example, every day 11 o'clock in the night I want to set up the backup. Okay, you can set up that also, or you can take a snapshot manually, so that either way you can go for that backup. And IAM integration, you already know that identity and access management can be integrated with the S3. Similarly, you can integrate with the AWS Advanced, that is AWS RDS, so that it will be more secure. You can create separate roles to access the database, that is IAM roles, and you can also bring your policy IAM policies over here also to access the database. And it is a cost effective pricing. We are going to see the next slides, so that you are able to understand how effective the cost management here. You can save cost. And as I said, it is going to be stored in availability, various availability zones, so it is highly available whenever you need it. And enhanced monitoring, you can use a CloudWatch or database monitoring what's going on, and what are the, if any issues, everything you are able to understand. So these are the huge advantage of RDS, and we are going to see in detail in the upcoming slides. um, okay, so when using database service, the CPU, memory, storage, IO are bundled together. Okay, so that's very important. Um, and you cannot control them individually, but with the RDS, each of parameters be tweaked individually. You are able to change the configuration. It manages your servers, updates them to the latest software configuration, takes backup everything automatically. As I said, you can take backup two ways. One is automated backup, where you set time for your backup to be done. For example, 12 o'clock midnight every day or every week, you can set up accordingly. Or DB snapshot, which I told in the previous slide, where in you manually take up backup of your DB. You can take snapshot of frequently you want, but keep in mind it's a manual process. This one is automated process. So whatever you feel comfortable or needed, or your requirement, you can set accordingly. It automatically creates a secondary instance for a failover. Therefore, previous that therefore provides a high availability. So you do not worry about failure things. RDS AWS supports read replicas, which I said earlier. A snapshot are created from the source DB, and all the read traffic to the source database is distributed among the read replicas. That is very important. This reduces overall overhead on the source DB. Okay, it will be distributed traffic between read replicas and whosoever need write in the database. So that the load will be perfectly managed over there. And RDS AWS can be integrated with IAM for giving customized access to your user who will be working on that database. That also very important, which we already talk about these IAM nodes. Right. So continuing to that advantage, the updates of your databases RDS AWS are applied to the maintenance window. So whenever one particular database needs to be maintained, it will be moved to as a primary instance, and it will be standalone instance will be updated, and after that the standalone instances will come to the primary instances, and whatever the primary instances was there, it will move back for the update. So like that, it's perfectly managed by AWS, so that you need not worry about the maintenance window. The maintenance window is defined during the creation of your DB instances. The way function is like this. We are going to see in next 5 minutes how we are going to set up this one. And when the update is available for your DB, to get notification or RDS console, you can take one of the following sections. That means whenever maintenance is coming, you can defer the maintenance items, or you can apply the maintenance immediately, or you can schedule a time, whatever you prefer. Okay, these three things you can do. Even if you are going for apply immediate maintenance, still your database available, as I said earlier. So once maintenance starts, this part also already I discussed. Your instance has to be taken offline for updating it. If your instance is running in multi-availability zone, in that case, the standby instance is updated first. Okay, it is then promoted to primary instances, and the primary instance is then taken offline for updating. This way, your application does not experience downtime. This is very important concept. Okay, in the interview, frequently you will get these questions: how your database will be available during the maintenance window. So you have to just tell this paragraph. That's all. And if you want to scale your DB instance, the changes that make to your DB instance also happen during the maintenance window. You can also apply them immediately, but then your application will experience downtime if it is a single availability zone. That's very key between this paragraph and this paragraph, because we are going with the multi availability zone. Here we are going for the single availability zone. Okay, going to next slide. Okay, so far we discussed about RDS advantages, and here we are talking about pricing. The RDS AWS is built based on the following parameters. One is the instance class, what type of class you are choosing, and the running time, that is amount of time instance is running. Partial hours are billed as full hours. There is no partial billing. Okay, and storage, the amount of storage that you have provisioned to your DB instance, and IO records per month. That means every input output records that made to your DB instance per month. That also a fixed price per month. Data transfer is in and out of your DB instance. That also charges. So you can choose whatever your requirement based on that. So based on that, you will be billed. And another way getting billed RDS is reserving the some instances called as reserved instances, which we talked about a couple of slides ago. So you can reserve how many instances you want, so that you can plan well at once, and the price will be cheaper than other tires. Okay, and it can be 1 or 3 years of making one-time payment. It is a less expensive compared to monthly bill that one's pay. So that's why you can save significant cost if you are going with reserved instances. And free tier also we have, and we are going to see in the next slide. AWS has an amazing free tier usage for most of its services, so that the customer can first use the service and then do the needful. Okay, and similarly, it offers free tier usage, which includes the following benefits. It's very important: 750 hours of Amazon RDS usage in single availability zone for that DBT2 micro instance. So every month, 1 year from sign up, that means 12 months you can use single availability zone, 750 hours, and 20 GB database storage, so that the combination of general purpose SSD or magnetic storage, but not more than 20. If you are going for more than 20 GB, it will be charged. And 10 million iOS, that is sufficient for a very small business. or 20 GB of backup storage. This is also sufficient for a small business. So if you have a small startup, then that's a small startup or a medium startup also, that's fine for free tier, so that you are able to save cost significantly. So these are the pricing, and next we'll go for the hands-on. Okay, I'll go to services. We already saw some services last week, Light Sail, EC2, Lambda, Beanstalk, etc. And the storage perspective, we already went through S3 and Glacier. Uh, and backup also we went through. Like that, we went through management governance. We already discussed CloudWatch and AWS organization and AWS auto scaling. CloudTrail also we did, and security purpose we already did IAM. Uh, okay, now database perspective, we are going to talk about RDS. So you can create a database in two ways. One is if you have already uh, have in your S3 bucket, you can use that one, or you can create a new database. And before going to these database creation, you can see how many DB instances you have for your account. At this point, 0 allocated storage, 0 TB of 100 GB, and you can separately request them to increase the DB instances limit, and it will be charged accordingly. And at this point, we don't have any DB clusters, snapshot, or anything. So this is the VPC. It's by default, it will be provided. You can change that one also if you like, but at this moment, I'm leave it default. And here, create a database, restore from S3 if it's already you have in your S3 bucket, uh, or you can create a new database. At this moment, your DB instance will launch in the US East North Virginia region, because I have set up my region is here, like North Virginia. That's why, and it's working fine. There is no issues at this point, so health is fine. So we can go ahead and start the database creation. Okay, and you have to remember that it's a free tier, and it is going to be available in only one availability zone, not multi-zone. Okay, and this is the dashboard. Now we are going to uh, go to the database, or you can create database here also. Both are same thing. Okay, just you can remove this one because they are saying that they have updated the UI. Okay, so there are two types of database you can create. One is standard, and another one is easy create. You set all the configuration options, including one for availability, security, and backup and maintenance here. Or this one is AWS will select the best practices, best practice configuration, so that uh, you can directly go click here and you can avoid some steps to create your database. I would go with standard create, so that I can set up my database whatever my choice accordingly. Okay, so I'm going with the standard create, and next I'm selecting engine type. What type of engine we needed? We already talked about that: Amazon Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL and Oracle SQL Server. We already talked about this one. Okay. Okay, which one I'm going to choose? Okay, I will choose SQL Server at this moment. Okay, you can choose either MySQL or whatever you like it. Okay, so in that case, I have four options in this edition. If I choose Oracle, related to Oracle, I will get options. If I choose Postgre, I will get Postgre SQL version. So what engine I'm choosing, based on that I will get that version number accordingly. For example, MySQL, this is the version, and Aurora, this is the version. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going with the SQL Server. Okay. In that SQL Server, I'm choosing uh, one option. I don't want Enterprise Edition. I don't want Standard. I want the Express Edition because that is sufficient for me to store up to the 10 GB, and it's also free. That also another reason. And SQL Server 2017 we have the option, and we have 2016. So you have several options. I will go with the 2017. I think 2019 is not available yet here. It's starting from 12 to 17, but Microsoft already released 2019 SQL Server. It will be available in AWS soon, but at this point there is no time limit when it will be available, but it's going to be soon. That's what I had. And regardless of anything, I am choosing SQL Server 2017. uh, okay, license is included over here. You need not bring your own license, anything. Okay, I'm going for the free tier. I'm not going for development testing. I'm going for free. You can achieve everything here like what you are achieving here. So no problem on that. And DB instance identifier database one, that is the DB instance identifier at this moment, but I'm going to change as Kana DB1 kind of thing. And admin is the default master username. You can keep admin, or you can type whatever you like that name, but it is maximum 16 character uh, applicable. Okay, I don't want to auto generated password, then I have to go to my email and click that URL and change the password. Instead, I'm just uncheck this auto generated password and going for password on my own. I'm giving admin 1234 because I should have at least 8 characters. So I'm giving admin 1234 and confirming admin 1234. And next, you have to keep remember this user ID password because that is the one we are going to use for upcoming sessions. And a DB instance size, I'm going for 1 GB RAM because that is sufficient for me. You can choose a variety of ways here. I have chosen the free, that's why I'm getting only one. Otherwise, I will get all other options. You can choose accordingly. Okay. Next, storage general purpose SSD I have, and provisional IOPS. I'm going with general purpose. Allocated storage is 20 GB. I don't want more than 20 GB. I'm okay with that. And here it is very important, auto scaling. We are setting enable storage auto scaling. Whenever it's going to be finished, then it will be automatically scale up and scale down. And the maximum storage threshold, I'm keeping as 1000 GB, 1000 gigabyte at this moment. And connectivity, I am not changing the VPC. I will keep it as default VPC. If you already created VPC, then you can choose there also. And additional connectivity configuration, if you want anything, you can put it over here. At this moment, I will submit. I'm keeping as default. Okay, and publicly accessible, I'm putting no because I don't want to publicly access this database. Okay, and choose existing VPC setting group. If you have, if you want to choose, you can choose if it's already exists, or otherwise default also fine. Um, or you can create your new VPC. Okay, at this moment I'm going with default one, and availability zones, I don't want to put anything uh, other than um, okay. I would like to go with no preference because whenever it's available in the related availability zone, my database will be available. If I choose anyone, suppose if that zone is not available, then it will be a problem for me. So I leave it as it is. And database port 1433, you can choose your database own port also. And Microsoft SQL Server Windows authentication, I'm choosing Windows authentication so that whenever I'm logging into the database, I can use my Windows user ID password. Okay, and additional configuration, you can set the DB parameter group, which we already discussed in the previous slides. So this one, and options group, anything if you want to choose that one, and time zone, if any preference you can give that one. So uh, collision I am not giving anything. So here enable automate backup. So that means you can choose automated backup rather than you are going for manual. Backup retention period 7 days. You can choose any number of days you want over here, for up to 35 days. And you can backup within the select window. Currently it is a no preference, but I'm going for the select window when I want to backup. Uh, okay, every zero point 0.5 hours I want, then that time it will be backup. You can choose your hours. So that is the UTC time zone. And if you want to create any tags, you can uh, copy tags to the snapshot. And the performance, it's enable performance insight so that performance will be improved. And default retention period, how many days it's going you want, and what is the account number. And monitoring, you want to cloud enable enhanced monitoring. If you want, you can choose that one, but at this point I leave it unchecked. And log exports, if you want to see your logs, error logs, then you can choose accordingly. And enable auto minor version upgrade. That means, for example, you already know that what is minor and major version. For example, if iOS they are releasing software version as 13 for your iPhone, then that is the major version. But every major version they have significant upgrade in their iOS. Okay, for example, there are some minor changes they are releasing the next version, for example 13.1. Okay, if you want to upgrade such small things also, then you can choose enable auto minor version upgrade over here, or otherwise you can just leave it as it is. And the maintenance window, you can choose when you want to database maintain. Okay, start day, I want to set every Sunday at midnight, um, 11 o'clock, or better Saturday midnight, 11 o'clock. And the duration, it doesn't matter how many hours it goes. And delete protection, I'm clicking enable delete protection so that if any action deletion, it will be protect from there. And these are the estimated monthly cost, whatever it's going to be. Okay, so now next, create database uh, directory. Okay, if I have already created in directory, no. Okay, I'm just enable Microsoft. I have removed that one. And create database. Okay, my database is being created. It will take some time to create. It's being created. Okay, while it's creating, you can see your credential details. You have created a master username as admin, and a master password is admin1234. And very important thing, this is the only time you will be able to view this password. Copy and save password for your reference, otherwise you will need to modify the database to change it. Okay, you already know what is your user ID, what is your password. Okay, I'm closing. If I close this one, I'm not able to see my user ID password again. So at this moment, this is my user ID and password, and my database is in progress. Your database may take a few minutes to launch. Okay, so meanwhile, it's almost created. So I'm able to see what is my DB identifier. This one is my DB identifier, and this is the instances we have created with SQL Server Express Edison engine, and this is the region and availability zone we have created. This is the size, and the status is still being created, and current activity 0 sessions, and the VPC is this one. So we have to wait some more time because it will take some time to create the database. Okay, so meanwhile, if you want to check the automated backups here, and you can select accordingly. For example, I have clicked the new window. So automated backups, already we have chosen this one, automated backup. So it's there, just to click here, and actions restored to point in time. Still it's not created, it's still going on. Okay, so but we are able to see um, other configuration related items for this database. Okay, and we'll come back. Still it's going on. And if you click here reserved instances, we are able to see any purchase reserved instances here. Okay, if you want, you can go here and purchase reserved DB instances, which is going to be very cheap. Still is being created. Here you can reserve your DB instances. Product description, Aurora you want, or Oracle, or MySQL, or MariaDB, SQL Server, which one you want, you can choose accordingly. It's a I want to go for Express on the DB instances. What type of instance you want? Okay, I want this simple micro instance, and multi-AG deployment you want. Yes, term 1 year, so that one for 1 year your price will be fixed, or 3 years. Offering type, what type of offering? Um, choose an offering type. We don't have any at this moment. And reserved IT, number of DB instances, how many you want to launch? 5 DB instances I am going to reserve. Okay, continue. I'm not getting any offering type over here. Hold on. Still it's being created. how you want to choose upfront cost, all upfront cost, or no upfront or partial upfront. What type of payment do you want to make? Okay, so I don't want any upfront cost. So this is the pricing details. Now if I click the order, my instances, whatever I have mentioned over here, 5 quantity and 1 year, it will be confirmed with the multi availability deployment, whatever you have chosen. So that's all. You can reserve your instances, DB instances like this. So that is the one option, but still my database is still being processed. Okay, I can't do anything until it's created. Okay, let's open up the QA. Any questions? Meanwhile, database is going to be created.
Satya, this is Anand. You mentioned we can create up to 40 instances on RDS. Is that 40 is per account?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So in that account, I can have 40 instances. I can allocate some for dev, test, and then production.
Yes, absolutely. With the combination of engines like Oracle, MySQL, or even SQL Server itself, various versions you can allocate.
Okay. Okay. I also have another question. You mentioned on of the slide the availability zones. So the instances are interconnected in each availability zones inside the region. So
Yes.
as any dev or any environment, it will connect to one of the instance to make database updates, insert or update. And then how fast the replication happens. Let's say I'm doing in Northern Virginia, and then the data will be the next minute it will be read by in South America. So how fast this replication happens in the other zones?
Yeah, replication is immediate because it's always durable will be very high and availability also 99.99. So you will not see any single or simple latency anywhere over there.
Okay, thanks.
Satya, this is Suresh. So if I were to create databases, for example, my SQL on-prem, right? I would attach, SSDs or, or some other kind of memory, to it, right? How is it done here? So I'm struggling to understand where RDS sits in the architecture stack. So I go, like you showed, I choose the service and I choose whatever database that I want, right? And behind the scenes, how are the memory and all that stuff are organized in AWS?
The question is, what is the main use of RDS, correct? Simply.
Correct, yes, simple. So what I am assuming from what you explained, right? I don't have to have an EC2, I can just have an RDS instance and I can have whatever database I want. And using RDS, I can access, whether it is Oracle or MySQL or SQL. Is that the idea?
Okay. To make it clear, you have two database engines. Okay, for example, you have in your organization you are using multiple applications. Okay, you are developing, delivering multiple applications. For example, you have your applications for desktop or I would say desktop or laptop based applications.
Okay.
And one is for mobile based applications for mobile.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you are seeing that for mobility, the light SQL will be most comfortable, and it is a very secure and faster
Yes.
than Oracle. That's what you are feeling. Okay, so you are
Yes.
going for Oracle for your laptop and desktop applications, and SQLite for your mobility application or mobile applications. Okay.
So these two applications are different applications, right?
Okay.
Or it could be the same app on web app, and then or go ahead. Sorry, I
Yeah,
interrupted.
that also I can answer. You consider you have same application. For example, you are running uh, a flight ticket booking kind of website. Okay,
Uh-huh.
we are using mobile apps for that booking, and we have desktop and laptop. For that, we are using two database, real-time database. Okay, or if it is confusing, think about two different applications. One is for uh, backend processing, like you are getting the code from the airlines, how maximum they can discount. That is the one application. Another one is for booking uh,
Okay.
with the customer facing application. One is backend and one is the front facing customer
Correct.
facing application. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. One
So
is the
for
client and the other one is the backend. Okay.
yeah, so for backend application, you are going for Oracle. For front end, you are going for SQLite kind of thing or SQL Express kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you are migrating these two applications to the cloud, okay, so still you are going to use these two databases. Okay.
Correct.
So in that case, instead of you are managing separate uh, thing, for example, maintenance uh, or software updates or backup or anything. So what you are allocating, you are going with the RDS. Okay, so the RDS will take care of SQLite as well as it is going to take care of Oracle also. So
Okay. So now you touched about the upgrades, patches, upgrades, and all that.
backup everything. Instead of you are going to SQLite and you are taking backup, upgrade everything, you are going to Oracle. You are going for the backup.
Instead of individually doing it, RDS will take care of all those.
RDS will take care of everything. Yes.
Um, so is that the only purpose, or is it like also takes care of application management? So if I come from a mobile app, it automatically goes to the light and it updates. Is there anything like that, or
Yeah,
is
yeah. You have to configure them. Yes.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah, but that also we can achieve. And mainly it is a failover. You can avoid failover. Always it's available. So that is the main purpose.
Okay.
Again, we are not creating any table structures or anything. It's a
Right.
RDS. It's not a database.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I answer a question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Another question? I'm checking the database. Still, it's going on. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Now status is available. Our database is created. Okay. Still, it is not reflected here, but it's reflecting here. We have successfully created a database. This database status is available with this instances with the DB2 DB-T2 micro instance type, and that is the size, and the CPU is available 41.67 and the current activity 0.3 sessions. So maintenance run at this moment. If anything, will be notified. So we are good at this point. We have created a successful database, and what we are going to do this database, we are going to talk about the next session. But meanwhile, any questions?
Yeah, Satya, this is Jay Kumar. So if any other, for example, our
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, Jay.
Hello?
Yeah.